Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Let's have a look at what's been happening in the last week in rugby news. The Lions series is still on, and there has been a lot of breaches in both camps in the last week, and there's been a lot of crazy events happening over the last 7 days for the tour. There was outbreaks in both camps, and games being pulled, games being postponed, and replacement games being played for the British and Irish Lions. Let's have a look at the timeline here. Let's go through the timeline just so we know exactly what happened. On the 27th of June, right before, this was like a week before, the Springboks camp tested positive. A bunch of people are positive. It's interesting to see that Mapimpi, he's still positive, and he's being, that's the 27th he tested positive. It's 2 weeks, over 2 weeks now, and he's still not ready to play. That is pretty. That is actually really concerning. That is really concerning, because he is positive still, and he's not able to play in the South African A team. Wow, that is really concerning. So that's 2 weeks now, and he's still not cleared. Oh man, that's really bad. And then Yanshi's positive on the 28th. Diego went positive on the 5th of July. This was just before this was after the test, the Georgian test, and yeah. So leading into the test, there were people positive. Going out of the test, people were positive again, and then sure enough, a bunch of players was positive on the 6th of July, including Georgian players. I think eventually Georgia had, so initially they reported 4 members positive from the Georgian team. Very difficult spot. On the 6th of July, the South African announced that the Bulls versus Lions game on the Saturday, which was last Saturday, was on the, which day was it? Saturday on the 10th, was cancelled. Not cancelled, postponed at this stage due to players from the Bulls team testing positive. So the Lions had to play the Sharks again on Saturday. So there was the Georgia game was cancelled on the 7th. The second Georgia game was cancelled on the 7th for the South African side, which was really difficult position for both teams. 5 hours before kickoff between the first Shark versus the Lions team game, there was 2 players from the Lions team and 2 management tested positive and forced into kickoff 5 hours before the kickoff. And then Georgia reported 6 more positive cases on 7th, on the an hour and 45 minutes before the kickoff against the Sharks game. 12 players were put into isolation from the Lions side just for safety, and then there was 8 changes to the match. So there was a lot of reshuffling. Owen Farrell was not supposed to be playing, and he was put on the field in a jersey that didn't have a number. That was a very crazy game. And then we had the Lions. Then on the 8th of July, the Lions has been confirmed to play a second test against the Sharks in place for the Bulls game. And on the 8th, that they confirmed that the tour will continue despite the challenges. So this timeline ended on the 8th of July, which was last week. And the things kind of got worse, I guess, for the Springboks captain. Springbok captain Siya Kolisi is positive, so he's gonna miss out the Springbok A game against the Lions, including Dan Dupreez, Oxnish, Bongi Bonambi, Skara Tsubeni, and Makalzole Mapimpi, and plus 3 management team. So Mapimpi is still positive, and this article is out 11th of July, and he had been positive since 26th of June. That's 2 weeks, and he's still positive. That's really rough. That's potentially, that's really unfortunate. And therefore, the Rassie has to really limited options for this first South African A, basically the warm-up game leading into the tests. But yeah, that's really rough. In an interview, Rassie really wanted to have a second South African A versus game versus the Lions game for next week. He thinks that's the most safest option. His argument is that that would be the safest option for both teams, to just limit the number of players they're playing against. And also, he really, really needed a bit more time to prepare the Springboks, I think. He was really, to say that he was begging, it's not really an understatement. He really, really, really stressed in his in this Zoom meeting where he announced the team for the South African A's that he wants another test. And it's a really tough spot for the Springboks. So that's what he was saying, but Warren Gatland came out and rejected the call. He did not want an extra test for the Springboks. I guess that's just something that that he doesn't agree that's the safest option for Gatland. And there has been over 20 recorded in the South African camp. 20. So Warren Gatland didn't see it that way. He didn't think it was safe, and really difficult position for both teams. However, out of all this chaos, the Lions team has some of their own issues. There's been quite a bit of niggling injuries for the 5A position for the Lions. So for us, Finn Russell has an Achilles injury, and Owen Farrell has an abdominal injury. So Owen Farrell should be okay, but Finn Russell, I think Warren Gatland said it's probably gonna be out. And so I was watching off the ball, and this was before both players were injured. The Irish fans really, really want Johnny Sexton to be called up. However, Warren Gatland did not see Johnny Sexton as a picture as part of the picture in his grand plan. So he called up the young player Marcus Smith from England. Marcus Smith has had a stellar few weeks performance. He was in the let's have a look. He was in the finals for the Harlequins, winning the premiership for Harlequins in a spectacular performance, leading into beating Bristol and Exeter in semi-final and finals. And he played really, really well in those games. And then he followed that up with an England call-up. So he played for Eddie Jones last couple of weeks against USA and against Canada. His kicking has been pretty stellar. His overall performance has been really, really good. And England had a pretty easy win against both America and Canada whilst he was on the field. So impressed by his performance, Warren Gatland decides to call him up to fill up the potential gap in the 5A position for the British and Irish Lions. And Gatland did talk about that he could be playing this weekend against the against the just give me 1 sec. Against the Stormers. Yeah. So he could potentially be playing against the Stormers this weekend. And will be very, very lucky for him. Very good to see. And I guess Gatland do want to, put some of his core players like bigger, give him a bit of a break, give him a bit of rest, especially after this South African A test. So he really, really needed Marcus Smith to be there. With Owen Farrell resting as well. So he definitely needed someone there to play for the Stormers. But congratulations to Marcus Smith. The Lions call-up is a pretty big moment for the young fella. He's played 3 different teams in 2 weeks and a half, and he's pretty much caught up to the ultimate team of them all, the Lions team. And be very lucky, happy day for him to put on the red jersey. And then the South African A team has been selected with 18 World Cup winners. With Siya Kolisi is still out positive The captain will be Lukhanyo Am, the outside centre for the South Africans. And I will go through the full team list in a separate video. But that is pretty much the big news, as Siya Kolisi is not able to play. And finally, we are going to look at some good news. And this got me a little bit emotional. Alun Wyn Jones. He is potentially going to be back from the shoulder injury. Look at him. It'll be great to see the legend back in the Lions tour. I don't know. Hopefully he will be cleared to play in one of the tests, but he's been given the all clear to rejoin the squad, and he could potentially be in the Stormers game. Yeah. That's big. That's Alun Wyn Jones. He is made out of, I would say granite, but it's probably not granite, but probably like diamond, right? He is as hard as you can get. He will not quit. People thought he might get back to play one of the tests, but it looked like he's gonna be ready for this weekend as soon as we're gonna be seeing him. So yeah, that's really happy news for all the fans, rugby fans all around the world. Last week, Australia had a nice win, very close win against the French team. Australia's playing France tonight. I have the team list there on my channel. Feel free to go have a look at it. But last week, there was a lot of missed tackles, probably the one thing that the Australian team needs to work on. This week, Australia has fielded the exact same outfit from last week to play France again, whilst French team has quite a bit of shuffle. I think they had, 5 new players brought in for the French side. And this will be this was an extremely entertaining game last week, and hopefully we get to see another spectacular contest tonight. Feel free to let me know what you think about the results tonight. And finally, let's have a look at the results from the last week. So last week started with Australia versus France. It was a very long week of rugby. This was a very, very close contest for both teams. France had a very spectacular performance in the first half and kind of like drifted off a little bit in the second half. Gave away quite a few penalties that they probably wouldn't like to reduce, whilst Australia were able to build on the penalties the French were giving away, able to pull out a last-second win in overtime. So all France had to do is stage up. All France had to do is kick the ball out, and they were under so much pressure from the Russian defense. They failed to kick the ball out to end the game. The clock was up. Wallabies recovered the ball, eventually getting a penalty in overtime. Gets the penalty kick and won the game. It was a spectacular performance. Some stats: 366 run minutes for the Wallabies, 210 for the French team. There was 60 tackles made for the Wallabies, 18 missed tackles, something the Wallabies wants to work on. 157 tackles for France, 15 for missed tackles for France. So that's pretty good for the French team. Conversions, 1 miss for France. Perfect performance for the Wallabies. And finally, the scrums were really struggling for the French team, especially in the second half when Tupou was on the field, which led to Tupou being caught. Tupou came off the bench last week, so this week Tupou is going to be starting to try to utilize him to get that initial impact on the field. So France will really wanted to improve on that. And also, finally, the French really considered a lot of penalties. That really let them down in the second half, which cost them the game. That's a very interesting game for the week. This game was played on Wednesday last weekend. And then on the, 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, the Sharks played the British and Irish Lions. And this was the game where there was, 8 changes in the Lions team due to potential breaches, due to the exposure. And then Owen Farrell was on the field without a number. Reese Louis Salmon was wearing number 10 jersey. And then, yeah, there was a lot of shuffling. Despite that, the Lions executed quite well. There was really, really smooth execution from the Lions team. And, yeah, quite a convincing win over the Sharks. 54 points to 7. Not much could be said. They capitalized. The similar run meters, 548, 545. But the Lions really executed quite cleanly to capitalize their opportunity when they had the chance to. 130 carries for the Sharks, 85 for the Lions. 15 offloads for the Lions to the 6 for the Sharks. That really showed that the Lions were able to work their opportunities when they did get the ball. 23 turnovers against the Sharks and 14 for the Lions. 172 tackles made for the Lions, 26 missed tackles. Not bad. 83 tackles made for the Sharks, 23 missed tackles. So the Sharks were on the attack for mostly, but they weren't able to capitalize because the Lions defense was just quite top-notch. And the Lions defense has been very, very good. It would be very interesting to see how their defense fare up against the South African A side, the 4th test of the series that's coming up in a couple of days. And finally, the discipline, 14 penalties considered for the Sharks. 8 penalties considered for the Sharks and 14 for the Lions. Something that they wanted to improve out of this game. And let's have a look at what happened next. Next up, there was so many games put on the weekend. A few games got cancelled. Next up, Tonga versus Samoa. Tonga got beaten by Samoa quite convincingly. I think the best part of this game was the pre-match rituals. Unlike the All Blacks game where they did their respective hakas and war dances separately, Tonga and Samoa went head-to-head with the haka. This was quite spectacular. Feel free to have a look at it on YouTube. But the Samoa did have a much more dominant performance, as you would expect, because Tonga did have largely players that are borderline amateur playing for the team. Very, very sad. 42 missed tackles for Tonga out of 126. 17 for 120. That is actually quite good for Samoa. And the overall performance for the lineouts, Tonga really got dominated in the lineouts as well. 4 lineouts lost. 13 penalties for Samoa, 12 for Tonga, and a yellow card for Tonga. So 42 points to 13. Very nice win for Samoa, and looks like Samoa's going to qualify themselves for the Rugby World Cup. Tonga still has a chance to qualify, even if they lose this coming out weekend against Samoa again. They will be able to qualify through the Asia qualifying rounds. That's Samoa versus Tonga, and then the big game, the one that everybody was excited to see. There was a lot of talk for this game. The All Blacks play Fiji. The All Blacks had really got exposed a little bit, especially in the first, a little bit in the middle part of the game. There was a lot of turnovers by the Fijians, led to a couple penalty kicks in the first half, and second half, the Fijians really also exposed the All Blacks in their defense a little bit with the lineouts, with the kick behind, and with the penalty try. So the All Blacks are not going to be happy with that performance, but when the reserves came on for the All Blacks, which is probably more like the starting, the more starting players were on the field, the All Blacks really drilled themselves into a much better structure, able to pound in quite a number of tries when they're in the last 30 minutes or so of the game. Dan Cole scored 4 tries first time ever someone came off the bench as a forward to score 4 tries ever in rugby, not just for the All Blacks, but in rugby. So that was an absolute titanic performance for him. 3 of those tries did come from rolling mauls, which was perfectly executed by the All Blacks. Beauden Barrett had a terrible day at kicking. He missed 3 out of 9, I think. How many was it? 9. So wasn't exactly what Beauden Barrett was looking to do. Some other things that could be interesting. The missed tackles, 18 out of 123. Probably a little bit more than what the All Blacks would want. 33 missed tackles for the Fijians. Not that good. What else is kind of important? 2 lineouts, 1 again for the All Blacks. You kind of expected. 100% scrum rate, 1 scrum loss for the Fijians. Discipline, 15 penalties considered for the All Blacks. That is not that great. And then the same 15 considered for the Fijians, 1 yellow card, and this was given away for, I think, technically like repeated penalties when the Fijians were inside the All Blacks 22, and the Fijian give away a similar penalty, yellow card, which basically the All Blacks were putting too much pressure, and Fijians were repeatedly giving away penalties. Something that Fozzie and friends will have to work on. There's another test coming up against the Fiji this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see how the All Blacks fare this weekend. But overall, pretty entertaining game, and a lot to look forward to for next weekend. And then we have the draw, Argentina versus Wales. This game was, Argentina pretty much is playing the full strength team, and as you may know, the Wales team has a lot of their players in the Lions tour. And Argentina really struggled last week against what is it? Not Georgia. Oh God, what's his name of the team? Not Georgia. They struggled last week against Romania, right? And then this week, it looks like they really struggled again. I did expect Argentina to win this game against Wales. This was played in Wales, but Sanchez goal kicking has been a bit off. There was a bunch of missed kick for Sanchez last week as well against Georgia, which almost cost them could have almost cost them the game. And this week, the most important thing for Argentina was there was a red card. The Argentina fullback, he put a high ball in, he chased the ball, he made a tackle, like a bear hug tackle, and then there was a head collision, an accidental head collision. And apparently nowadays, according to the rules, any contact to the head, even if this accidental head collision is a card, and the referee deemed it severe enough to be a red card. So that was really hard done by Argentina. A red card, which meant that which was around the 30-minute mark. So they had to play 50 minutes of the game with 14 players on the field, and that really led to Argentina, struggling to close out the game to win it. And Wales, let's have a look at the match stats. 2 tries apiece, 229 run meters to 405. So Wales definitely had more opportunity in attack. Argentina really played conservatively with 1 player on the bin for the most of the second half, despite the fact that they looked really, really good when they were on the attack, working on their set pieces. They looked really, 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 really good. They scored 2 tries, in fact, when they did attack with players in the bin and, with the set pieces. But for some reason, they just didn't go for it. And they opted for this really long-range penalty kicks that was like 50-50 for the kicker. And they missed 3 penalties in the second half. And that's something that I think if Argentina had taken one of those long-range kicks and applied pressure, they might have got a better result out of this game. So something that could be said with their decision-making there. Missed tackles, 22 for the Argentina out of 141. Probably a bit higher than they would like. 118 tackles for Wales, 13 missed tackles. That's pretty good, not bad. Almost there. Kicks in play, conversions. As you can see, 3 penalty missed for Argentina, 2 penalties missed for Wales as well. Breakdown, 3 lost on the breakdown for the Argentina, 7 lost for Wales. So the Argentina really worked well on the breakdowns. And then 1 liner was lost for Argentina, something that they're probably not going to be happy. The scrums, the Wales scrums, struggled a tiny bit, not really that big of a difference. Even though the Wales scrums was technically their second team, the starting front rowers are all in South Africa, basically. So that's something that you kind of expect to struggle a little bit. Anyway, 15 penalties considered for Argentina, 13 for Wales, 1 red card, 1 yellow card. So the yellow cards are pretty funny. The referee yellow carded both props at one point for the scrums collapsing. So 1 prop from each team went off the field. That's what the yellow cards were for. So the referees was a little bit of a funny game, this one. And Pablo Materas was the former captain, was doing a bit of acting on the field. He was diving a little bit. Hopefully he stopped that. He got caught out by the commentators as well. So This was a interesting game. I think Argentina has another game up against Wales again this weekend, or maybe it was against. Yeah, I think maybe against Ireland. Is it either Ireland or Wales? But there's another game coming up for Argentina. Will be very interesting to see what's going to happen. And Argentina really needs to improve their kicking if they want the strategy that they're playing, which is heavily involves Sanchez kicking. They really need to lift that. England had a blowout against Canada. This was a quite big game. Look at Smith, the man that performed spectacularly for England, has been caught up to the Lions team. So yeah, this was another blowout, back-to-back blowout weekends for England. 650 run meters to 162 for Canada, 95 carries to 85. So the amount of just the amount of carries and the meters doesn't really add up. It tells that the defense has been pretty poor for Canada. It really shows. Turnovers conceded for England, 10, 9 for Canada, 113 tackles, 102 for Canada. Yeah, like you can tell. 11 missed tackles for England. That is very, very good defense. 40 missed tackles. That's where the round meters came from. 4 turnovers, 1 for England, 0 for Canada. 9 out of 9 conversions. That is spectacular for the young man. That's probably why he got caught up. Very good kicking. That is a better kicking than Dan Biggar did against the Sharks in the second game. But that is spectacular performance by Smith. And well, not much else to say about this game. Quite a big blowout for England. 70 points to 14. And and then there was Sharks versus the British and Irish Lions. This game was quite entertaining, actually. The Sharks were able to put on 5 tries against the Lions. 4 out of the 5 tries are results of the Lions mishandling of the ball. So Elliot Daly threw he dropped the ball. He tried to throw a pass and the ball just slipped out of his hands. Like one of the most comedic moment of the week. The ball just slipped out of his hands and Sharks picked up the ball, scores a try. That was the first try. Dan Biggar threw a ball to Van der Merwe and the ball dropped it on the ground. It was just a terrible pass. And then the Sharks picked it up, scored a try on the other end. There was another one where Conor Murray tried to kick the ball out, a box kick, and the ball got charged down. Another try for Sharks. And then there was another one where I think it was Biggar. Oh, no, I think it was Conor Murray again. He got the ball. He tried to throw a loopy cutter pass to Biggar in the backline. There was an overlap. And the ball was just, wasn't accurate enough. Got intercepted by the Sharks player. Scores down the other end. A nice 90-meter run. It was 14 points turnover, basically. 14 points try, basically. He stopped the try from scoring and scored a try on the other end. So that was pretty good. And I think the last Sharks try that happened was a kick behind. A grubber kick behind. And the Sharks player chased it, caught the ball, pulled the ball down. Beautiful try for the Sharks. And then the Lions started to also, for the really dominant the game for the most part. But yeah, the errors really cost them. 712 run meters, 428 for the Sharks. 148 carries for the Lions, 73 for the Sharks. 8 offload for 4 for the Sharks. 15 turnovers conceded for the Lions. That is really high, and only 10 for the Sharks. Tackles, 76 tackles made, 15 missed tackles. Probably should be better than that for the Lions. 170 tackles made, 50 missed tackles for the Sharks. That is really high tackle rate miscount. Dan Biggar had a bit of an off on his radar. 8 out of 11 conversions. The Sharks not really that great themselves. Rocks 170. 1 lost rock for the Lions. 3 lost for the Sharks. And scrums, the Sharks got dominated. 60% scrums rate. That's quite a few turnovers. And 13 penalties conceded for the Sharks. 1 for the Lions. Oh, and the red card, I forgot. So the Lions, the game was pretty close. 26-26 at halftime. Second half started. The Lions halfback. In fact, I remember his name now. Hendricks. Is it Hendricks? And his name is Hendricks. The halfback from the Sharks. There was a more people get pushed out. He was on top of one of the Lions players, and he just dropped a UFC style elbow on the Lions player and got himself red carded actually. Really, really dumb, really, really stupid. And that's pretty much when the Lions starts putting away. The score was 26 apiece. at halftime, and then after the elbow, the Sharks just completely fell apart. Really, really sad for the Sharks, and bit of a sigh of relief for the British and Irish Lions. Finally, the last game of the week. I think the only one I didn't watch at all. Ireland convincingly beat the USA, and at home, 71 points to 10. 796 run meters against 151. 150 carries to 51 carries to 80. 11 missed tackles for Ireland. 31 missed tackles for the Americans out of 142 tackles. Kicks in play. Conversion has been pretty good for Irish. Not much kicks were done for the Americans. Lineouts, both teams struggled a little bit, looks like. And there was one red card for the Americans. Probably something that's not going to help you when you're already an underdog. Anyway, guys, I need to start cutting down this news. It's taking way too long. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys a bit later for the South Africa A versus Lions preview. Thank you for watching. See you guys soon.